Today on the Acupuncture Masterclass quick tip, the top 5 mistakes students make when locating acupuncture points. Let's take a look. Now, I've been teaching acupuncture point location for 15 years at a naturopathic college here in Toronto, and during this time I've witnessed some common mistakes that students tend to make when locating points in class. Believe me, this is not an exhaustive list, but if you can be mindful of these common issues, you'll make future acupuncture treatments on actual paying clients much more comfortable, more enjoyable for them, and more efficient for you as a practitioner. Mistake number 1, incorrect patient positioning on the table. Imagine being put into a position that isn't that comfortable and then being told not to move a muscle for 30 minutes or so. Sounds awful? It is. This is pretty much what you're doing once you put needles into a patient who isn't perfectly positioned on the treatment table. Especially a new person to acupuncture who assumes you can't move at all once the needles are in. You need to think about patient comfort before you start putting needles in your client. Make sure they are completely comfy before the first needle goes in. Slightly bent limbs are always more comfortable than extended ones. Make sure their head and neck look comfortable. Make sure patients aren't holding up their body parts to make things easy for you. For an acupuncture treatment to be relaxing, you need to start thinking more about patient positioning before the needling starts. Mistake number 2, not using the Cun measurements when the Cun measurements are available to you. Have you heard of directional versus proportional measuring? These are the 2 types of measuring that acupuncturists use to determine the location of many acupuncture points. What I'm referring to here is people who resort to their thumbs in areas where there are clearly Cun measurements to use. Using the thumb and fingers to measure areas that have existing Cun measurements is a no-no in my book. Use the Cun measurements if they are available to you, and save the thumb and finger measuring for areas which have no dedicated Cun measurements. Mistake number 3, palpating the wrong anatomy. When it comes to incorrect point location, this might be the biggest factor, especially for newer students. As acupuncturists, you will be palpating the anatomy of clients constantly. Anatomical landmarks are tremendously important when locating acupuncture points, and if you can't find these landmarks, your point location will be off and your patient outcomes may suffer. This is especially true for the lower back area. So many students have trouble in this area. I should do a video for this issue in the future. The upper neck also seems to be a problem for students. If you think you might want to see videos on these areas, let me know in the comments below. Bottom line, you need to practice on anatomical palpation. The more people, the more body types, the better. Just get your hands on as many different people as you can and practice. It's not enough to know where the point is located. You have to be able to find it to help the patient. Mistake number 4, speaking of not practicing enough. So many students make the mistake of not locating points on both sides of the body when they are practicing their point location. Many students think that since they found it on one side, the other side isn't worth doing. When you're practicing point location, always take advantage of locating points on both sides of your patient's body. You'll be surprised how many mistakes are made by simply doing the other side. Train your brain to find points on both sides of the body. This is how you'll be locating points in your clinic practice anyways. So start this step now so it isn't more difficult when you get into a clinic setting. Mistake number 5, not incorporating point actions with your point location skills. Don't forget to consider point actions when locating points. So many students suffer from point selection struggles, and you can minimize this by briefly getting the general actions of a point you're actually locating. Is it a description point? Does it have something special like a contraindication to pregnancy? Something memorable so it sticks in your mind more efficiently. You should know that CV12 is the front mu of the stomach, and this point will have actions on the epigastric area for issues such as reflux, belching, nausea, or epigastric pain. Start incorporating point actions into your point location work. This will help improve your acupuncture point selection down the road, something that many people seem to struggle with as well. So in summary, remember these things when locating your points. Make sure they are in the ideal position for the acupuncture prescription you have chosen. Don't move people around once you have needles in them. This is a huge pet peeve of mine. Use the Cun measurements when you have them available. Thumb should be your last resort. Practice your anatomy palpation on different body types. Work hard on areas that are difficult for you, like the neck and lower back. Practice actually locating on a human being more. Locate on both sides of the body. Remember, looking at your books is one thing, but does not compare to working on an actual body. Try to focus on one important action for the point you're locating. Start the process of connecting a point's action to its location. For more on this concept, take my course on Acupuncture Point Selection Mastery, where you'll be guided through a simple 5-step process making acupuncture point selection faster, easier, and resulting in better clinical outcomes. Just click on the link in the description and go check out the free preview. You'll be glad you did. Thanks again for joining me today. Please leave comments below, especially if there are specific topics you would like to see me present on in the future. Have a great week and see you soon.